You're tuned in to Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk, live every weekday on the Nation Network YouTube.
Well, after 20 minutes, it looked like this show was going in a completely different direction, but the Edmonton Oilers managed to figure it out, and we should have a good show today. Let's get into it with the lead. I thought about that a lot. I've been thinking about that moment all weekend and just how Tyler has sued me on my birthday to host a show that I never do. But here we are. Oilers tied at 2-2 in the Sports Closet studio. And the first comment of the day goes to Sergeant Battle. Down by 3 before the first intermission. Impossible comeback. That's what I call Oilers hockey. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday with no Tyler Yaremchuk today as he is in LA. But it's me, Liam, Horrobin, and Shawn Belle, brought to you by Star Mechanical. Shawn, how's the weekend?
Good. I mean, I had heart palpitations yesterday, so that worked. I think I soothed that with some beer, so that was nice. What a roller coaster.
Truly. Like, my friend texted me after the second period and just said, I am exhausted. And I think that's just how this entire city felt. And he just continued on in the third. But, I mean, the Oilers found a way. And this team, I don't like this about this team, but you can never rule them out. And I don't think that's a good reputation to have necessarily, because it means you're down quite a bit sometimes and you got to come back. But like I said, you can never truly rule this team out. Did you think they were going to be able to come back, though, after the first period? Because it did not look good.
No, it didn't look good. Like you thought this was going to be one of those nights where it's going to be like 7 or 8-0, and you know the spotlight's going to be shined heavily on the team. You know, the crazy part is, like, they could have been down 5-0. There was 2 chances that, you know, they just got a piece of it, or the Kings just missed it, and they're wide open nets. And you look at it and you're like, okay, well, you're down 2-1. It's more or less do or die. Like, you want to split in LA, and all of a sudden you come out like that. And I'm starting to become a fan of the Oilers, but man, is it hard being a fan of the Oilers. Like, I don't think I want this anymore.
You should try working for a fan site day-to-day basis about them.
Exactly. Like, I don't want this anymore. It's too emotional. Like, they just weren't sharp. They weren't crisp. They were almost playing into LA's hands. LA came out hot, and Kevin Fiala hasn't played for a long time, and he looked like the best player in the world. And I'm like, why is this guy all of a sudden out battling, out racing every single player on the Oilers? And then we get into the second period, and then obviously the conversation changes immensely.
Yeah, I put out a tweet actually after the second period. In 20 minutes, Kevin Fiala had more assists than only 3 Oilers players. Only 3 Oilers players had more assists than Kevin Fiala and played 20 minutes. He truly looked like the best player on the ice. And then the first period, I guess, we'll just jump right into the goals. Like, what did you think of the team defense? It looked like it was essentially non-existent and just mistake after mistake. And I think Skinner actually got harshly criticized a little bit because he did actually make one pretty big save in the period. And just the chances the Oilers were giving up were just so good that LA almost had to screw them up themselves not to score.
Yeah, like, I'm not putting any of this on Skinner.
Yeah.
Like, the first goal, I'm pretty sure was Yamamoto had his player. Was it Velarde? I think it was.
I think so, yeah.
Right? So he has him in the neutral zone. He's actually got his stick around his waist. Then he lets him go once he gets into the zone. Nurse is puck watching, and then all of a sudden it's a rebound, and Velarde taps a puck in the net. That's a tough goal to give up. Like, you can't necessarily put that on Skinner. I think that's more of a situation where, like, if he makes that save, that's a massive stop, right? And that's a save that you want. But at the same time, like, this is a rebound, guy wide open in front of the net, and he taps it in. That's number 1. Number 2, you have the power play goal. I can't remember off the top of the head. That was 3, right?
The second spinorama on Desharnais.
Spinorama. Like, Desharnais is cheating, right? Yeah. So instead of lunging laterally, he actually lunges forward, and he allows Arvidsson to spin off of him and then take it to the net. So that's another tough goal to give. Now, in terms of that one for Skinner, I bet you he wants it back because it was a 5-hole goal. But still, you can't give up that little spin around. It's not that he did anything, you know, dramatic, or he really changed the trajectory of the play, or like, he just did a little spin and he just played Desharnais, you know, as a bit of a pawn in that way, right?
He kind of read him like a buck.
Yeah, 100%. He just knew this is a big body. I got to get off the boards. And then the minute I get this puck, I'm just going to use his positioning against him.
Yeah.
And then the third goal, obviously, like, they talked about it on Sportsnet last night, and it was 3 or 4 guys getting out battled, losing a race to a puck, and LA just wanted a little bit more, and then all of a sudden wide open again in the back of your net. So can you put that on Skinner? I don't think you can.
Mhm.
Maybe one goal he wants back, like we mentioned, but at the same time, like it's team defense. They just weren't hungry enough, and it showed.
Yeah, I've said this a few times now about the way the Oilers have just been allowing goals. It feels like every time the Oilers want to score a goal, they have to earn every little bit of it. When the Kings are scoring goals, it feels like the Oilers are just making massive mistakes, which is just leading to them, which to me like shouldn't be on Stuart Skinner. I don't think he's been fantastic in the playoffs by any means. And then Campbell comes in and does what he did, right? But for me, like, I think you have to go back to Stuart Skinner in game 5 in Edmonton. Is that what you would do too? Or would you turn to Campbell now after, what did he make, 28, 27 saves last night?
Yeah, I mean, but if you rewind a little bit, like if you think back to that 10-game streak that they were on,
Mm-hmm.
the goals that they're currently giving up in the playoffs were not goals that they gave up during that streak.
Yeah.
They played hard defensively. Guys were backtracking very hard. So they allowed the defensemen to stand up. They barely gave any time and space to players on all the different teams that they played against. And then now all of a sudden here, like you seem like they're backing off a little bit. They're allowing point blank chances, which was like Oilers before
Mm-hmm.
that 10 game stretch. As far as a goaltending situation goes, like, yeah, Skinner's gotten you here, but Campbell comes in and he gives you a massive lift
Yeah.
because he battles in the crease. He made some timely saves. So, part of me is like, do you go to Campbell because of the lift that he gave and how well he played, and
Mm-hmm.
then let Skinner kind of, ride
Yeah.
shotgun a little bit, or do you just go back to what you know? Personally, for me, I think you might want to go Campbell only because of the way he came in and he played.
He was lights out, and it's funny, we did Oilers Nation After Dark after the game yesterday, and we made a poll, and there was about 220 something people that voted 50-50. So good luck with that one, Jay Woodcroft. I hope that goes better for you than it did for us in that poll.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to Desharnais. Obviously, he got parked on the bench right after, but one thing that was interesting to see is he was obviously at fault for the Arvidsson goal. The Oilers get put on the penalty kill, gets right out there straight away. Jay Woodcroft trusts him, makes another mistake, and then that's what led to him. I think when you look at Desharnais' game overall, the big picture is he's not been like horrendous by any means, but when he makes mistakes, they are just so costly against him. Do you think that's fair to say? And also, what would you do with him? Do you think it's right that the Oilers go 12-6 now? Because Broberg did elevate his game a little bit last night too.
No, I think you stay with the 11-7.
Mhm.
Obviously, it worked because now when Desharnais on his game, he's pretty good. He's very defensive. He gives the Oilers a little bit of that sandpaper that they've been missing.
Mhm.
Like, when Kane and Bukestad came, like all of a sudden the Oilers team was different. So
Yeah.
you need that element in the playoffs, in particular in a series against the Kings. But at the same time, I think as a young defenseman, like he's still growing. He's not a finished product yet.
Mhm.
And I think you've just got to give him a little bit more confidence, let him continue to grow. You're showing video, be like, hey, could you have done something different here as opposed to, what you did on that goal.
Mhm.
Right. So just trying to give him the tools that he needs to help accelerate his game or elevate his game. Sorry.
Mhm.
Those would be some of the things that I would do with Desharnais, but I would go 11-7 in case that it went sideways because you don't know what's going to happen with Broberg.
Mhm.
Broberg, barely played. Obviously, he came in and he did really well. But what happens if he wasn't very good?
Yeah,
Right. So now
that's
you're down
true.
to 5. So
Mhm.
if you have a 12-6 scenario and one of those young defensemen doesn't play the way that they should, well,
Mhm.
now you're down to 5 defensemen and you don't want to be in 5 defenseman territory against the Kings.
No, definitely not. And I do think that's kind of why they were going 11-7. Like, obviously, Dylan Holloway got brought up. Was it yesterday? And everyone was kind of saying, like, get him in the lineup. It's like, what is Dylan Holloway going to bring? Like, he's going to bring the speed and everything, but people are asking him to get replaced by Yamamoto to come out and him to go in. Like, I just don't feel like it's a recipe for success at all. And I guess on that front, too, like, Kyler Yamamoto isn't producing offensively. We spoke about it, I think it was after game 1 or 2, how he's still going getting pucks and he's still kind of causing a little bit of chaos. Are you still seeing that? Or do you think Yamo maybe needs to come down the lineup a little bit and maybe a Warren Fogle can be elevated?
Well, I think like whether you put Yamamoto in that spot or you put Fogle in that spot, like you more or less have the same thing. Like
Yeah.
Fogle hasn't necessarily been burying his chances either, but I think that the spotlight's on Yamamoto purely because of the fact that he's on that line
Yeah.
and he's not producing. But at the same time, you look at Yamamoto's game and he's in it. He's in it all the time. And everywhere he's on the ice, he's in the battle, he's chasing down pucks. Obviously, that first goal, like maybe there could have been a little bit more communication between him and Nurse, and maybe that prevents that goal. But outside of that, like he's a tenacious forechecker. He's actually fairly physical, so you don't necessarily want to move a guy like that out of that lineup because once again, like he forechecks just as much as Draisaitl does,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
gets Draisaitl the puck. So or McDavid. So you know the spotlight's on Yamamoto, obviously because of the money that he makes in the spot that he's in, but he's really not that bad of an option there.
I completely agree. And I think at some point too, like, what are the expectations for him? Like, are we just expecting him to go out and score on every single shift? Like, for me, Yamo is always been that guy who's super streaky. He's either hot or freezing cold. There's really no in between. And he's going to go out there. He's going to hump pucks for 60 minutes. And he's going to get him to one of the best players in the world who was on the ice for all 5 goals last night for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, I just don't know what the expectations really are for him. And also, did you find it kind of strange Klim Kostin just didn't play yesterday? Like, I get it. Like, in the second period, you're chasing the game so much. But I was looking at his stats. Like, he outshot his opponents 3-0, 5-on-5. Like, I didn't really think he made like a massive mistake. And even the penalty he took in game 3 where he like held down, I think it was Iafallo. Like, it's a dumb penalty, but it's not like stupid misplay kind of thing, It's kind of heat of the moment kind of thing. He's not just throwing his stick everywhere, especially for a guy who scored such a vital goal and you're trying to get back. Like, it just seems like a weird message to send. Did you see anything from Costin that should have resulted in what happened?
I don't think I saw anything in that game for Costin to be sad. I just think it was a case of we're down 3-0. We need to win this game because we do not want to come back to Edmonton down 3-1. There was a lot on the line, and I think that they just decided to go with the big boys.
Yeah.
And that obviously it sucks to be stapled to the bench, but at that time it's a do or die situation, and you've got 2 of the best players in the world. And you also got Kane, who has produced in the past. You've got Hyman, who's produced in the past. You've got some horses on your team that you got to get going. And you feel as a coach that they give you a better chance to win than Costin did. And that's really all it was.
Yeah, that is kind of what I thought too. Like, Costin played a team low at 5-on-5, 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Desharnais was right there with him too on the bench. If you saw the celebration afterwards, I think they were the 2 of the most relieved men in the entire world. It was good to see. But the Oilers obviously come back from 3-0. And then the start of the third period was kind of weird. It seemed like they really let off for most of it. What did it say? Midway through the third, they had 1 shot on goal. Like, I guess this is a big question to ask because there's so much to it. But like, what was the difference between the Oilers in the second period that came out so hot and heavy against LA to like just really shut it down? Like, what did LA do to narrow that in?
I'm not sure if it was LA that did anything.
Okay.
I think LA played their game for the most part the entire time. But as we've seen over the course of this series, the Oilers have at minimum 1 period where they come out so hard and LA can't keep up. And I think that's exactly what happened in the second period. We're down 3-0. Boys, like, we better get going, okay, or we're going to be in serious trouble here.
Yeah.
So they came out with desperation. And when the Oilers are desperate, they're flying around the ice, and they are a hard team to handle. And obviously, they have the firepower to get you back into the game. So that's what they did. And then when you get into that third period, it almost seemed as if they had a sigh of relief. They're like, okay, it's technically 0-0, even though it's 3-3. But in just the locker room, you say, well, it's 0-0. And I think you have that little bit of like, okay, it's a moment to breathe. And then they came out, but again, LA was playing the same way the entire time. It's not like LA changed their game. And so once again, LA just comes out, does their thing, and you don't have a moment to breathe against the Kings because whether they're down 4-0, whether it's 1-0, they play the same way. They're pesky. They're in your face. They play hard defense. And so you just have to be on it all times. And I think that's what you saw in that period.
Yeah, it was just such a roller coaster. I think we mentioned it right at the top. Like, this team looked absolutely unbeatable for 20 minutes and then comes out in the third period and just gets hemmed in their own zone for so long. And they look doomed. And then obviously Evander Kane went and got the game tying goal and they win in overtime thanks to Zach Hyman. There's one question we haven't addressed, and it's not even from this game, but game 3. Was it a high stick? Like, it is the biggest conversation in the hockey world. Imagine if the Oilers had lost last night. That's all anybody would have been talking about today too. But what a just like wild thing, right? I don't know.
I'm not even getting back into that conversation. On our show at Hello Hockey, we talked about that ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Long story short, it was a high stick.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw 4 or 5 different angles. TNT actually had an unbelievable
angle. They did, yeah.
That showed it. There was a fan that actually posted on Twitter that showed it as well. So, you know, it is what it is. But I think the biggest takeaway from that whole thing is that across the league, there's been awful calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same 2 refs that actually were in that game
last night
went to Minnesota, and then Foligno's losing his mind because of how bad they were. So this is something that's really bad.
Yeah.
And I do think the NHL needs to address it. But yeah, I don't know.
I think there was a good comment on the radio today, actually, that the game might be getting way too difficult to officiate because there's so many missed calls, which is probably a fair way to evaluate things. As someone who played, obviously, a professional hockey, do you think the league needs more technology? Like, the thing that is coming back to me is, and the FIFA is obviously a bit more advanced than the NHL is, but the World Cup, they were able to determine if Ronaldo headed the ball in or not by the heat in the ball. And Adidas came out and did it, and it was just like, nope, didn't touch it. It was this guy's goal, and then it wasn't even a review on the thing. It was just determined after. But like, surely there's a way to like not even a high stick, but like if the puck went over the line, stuff like that. Do you think the league needs to look at bringing in better things to help the referees?
Yeah, I think they've also got to iron out some of the rules. Like, you look at what's offside in the NHL today.
It's so interpretable. The whole rule book. Yeah.
Like, to me, it's a giant, here's your blue line, and then you just have this barrier that goes straight up, and if you cross it before the puck, it's offside.
I think so too.
Make it as simple as that. So some of the rules, in goaltender interference, that's ridiculous. Nobody knows what that one is either. And then, you know, you look at the standard of play, and once again, we talked about this too, is that if I'm a player, tell me what the standard is going to be. So if you're going to call every stick infraction, well, I know don't have any stick infractions. And then it is what it is. If you're going to let some stuff slide, a la Tampa Bay, Toronto, Winnipeg, Vegas, then I know where the standard is, and I'm going to do more. So before the game, tell me. Yeah. So then you'll get a better refed game, officiated game, and I think you'll see some of those calls disappear. And then the other piece is like, okay, well, you're in the middle of the playoffs. In particular, when it comes to OT, what do you want to see called? Like, if it's something that is so egregious and it stops me from getting a scoring chance, call that. But if in neutral zone and I slash somebody in the neutral zone, like, don't call that.
Yeah. I actually thought the officiating last night was fairly well done.
I thought it was really good. Yeah.
The Kevin Fiala penalty probably wasn't a penalty, to be honest. But you look at the overtime penalty that was called, Adrian Kempe absolutely buried Evan Bouchard from behind. Like, that was a penalty, and that was the right call. And I don't know. I just think the NHL has got a long way to go before they can like move the refs out of being the main character of the whole thing, right? There's stuff that's got to go into it. But I guess the last question before you leave us, what is one thing you would like to see the Oilers change before Tuesday when they play, or is there something in the lineup you think they need to adjust?
Well, they actually started to adjust late in the third period. So one of the things that they've been doing is they've been allowing LA to set up in their 1-3-1.
Right.
And that is LA's strength. All they do, they force you to dump the puck in, right? They sit back, they chip the puck comes rimming around the net. Their defenseman goes back, goes D to D to his other defenseman, and then they just break it out. And it was like that all series. But the one adjustment that I saw was that instead of allowing them to get into that structure in the neutral zone, they just started turning pucks up in a hurry. And then all of a sudden they couldn't catch up, right? Like, I think actually the goal that was scored by Hyman, like, Bouchard goes behind the net, he steps out right away. The minute that he sees them changing, doesn't let them set up, zips it up there, and then all of a sudden it's a break. And I think you have to make LA chase you, as opposed to you just sitting there and being like, hey, You set up in your 1-3-1, which is your strength,
Yeah.
and we're going to try to beat you at your strength. Just move pucks faster than they can set up, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we saw what the Oilers are capable of doing many times in this series. It's just about now sustaining that for more than 20 minutes, hopefully. But we'll see on Tuesday. I'm just glad they're not down 3-1.
No
to
kidding.
be honest,
No
like,
kidding.
what would we be talking about today? I don't know. Who the next
city
GM
might
would be?
on fire.
Yeah, this city runs off the heartbeat of the Oilers, and I love every minute of it. But thanks for coming by again.
Always a pleasure.
It was, no Tyler's time, so we had a little bit more fun, I think, but it's all good.
What a buzzkill.
Belzy's appearance is brought to you by Star Mechanical. Star Mechanical is one of the biggest locally owned and operated plumbing and heating businesses in the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later. Oh, I'm on. All right. I was distracted. Belzy left. It has been, to say chaotic, I think would be an understatement. When Tyler leaves, for some reason, everything just breaks when I go to leave the show. I'm currently running this show camera off a laptop rather than an actual camera. The camera can't be zoomed in. It is truly something. And Tyler's biggest birthday gift to me was to make me work a lot more than I should have today. But there you have it. Thank you to Shawn Belle for stopping by. And what are we at, Aaron? I need you on this one now. Greta, that's where we're going to go to this one. Oilers Nation official watch parties are brought to you by Greta, the party destination, all the road games. So next one will be game 6, but games 3 and 5, that's wrong, 3 and 4 were on this weekend. Aaron, you were there. Kennedy was also there, and she's in the room. Aaron, tell us how it went down. I want to hear the reaction to Zach Hyman scoring.
Dude, it was pretty touch and go there.
Yes.
For a minute. It was the attitudes, they were optimistic in the bar, but 3-0. I got to say, I was emceeing the event, and I had a moment I didn't even know what to say. And I kind of powered through. We made it optimistic. I did say that I thought the worst lead in hockey was a 3-goal, 3-0 lead.
It's
so
true.
Anything's possible. And it did happen. You could feel it like slowly turning up in the bar and like more people showing up, more Let's Go Oilers chants. Greta does some awesome stuff. They do every time the Oilers scored their first goal this weekend, they handed out free shots to the entire bar.
Sweet. Were they, sometimes these bars do like orange and blue shots. Were they like that at all?
No, they weren't.
Damn.
What were they? Yeah, they were citrusy.
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, they were delicious.
The Oilers are just so fruity.
And then so they score the goal, and then they just hand me the tray, and they're like, "Hey, here you go. Go hand them out."
So if people want to come by on Tuesday. I am
Saturday.
What day is it today?
Monday.
It's
your birthday.
It is my birthday, yes. On Saturday. How early do they have to get there if they haven't made a reservation? You can make reservations at gretabar.com/book, or you can text 587-418-8507. But if you don't get the reservation, which you should just go and do, quite frankly, it's the easiest way to get there, is still obviously a lot of people.
Had walk-ins available. I think they were kind of like recommending, so let's say it was an 8 o'clock game, which means 8:20, 8:30, if we're being real. They were recommending to get there at like 7, maybe before. It was kind of a thing, right? Because there's lots of bar top seats available. So you can do that, but there was tables, reserved. But Kennedy, it was a blast. I think it was very welcoming atmosphere. People started piling in for the third period and overtime. And then I got to say, the best part might have even been after the game, because that place was going. And I had a little bit of a late night last night, folks.
I'm curious, actually, what the vibe. So obviously, Oilers down 3-0. Evan Bouchard gets the first goal. Are like people pumped, or everyone's like, "All right, here we go," like cautiously optimistic kind of deal? Like, how did the atmosphere gradually build?
It definitely at first was very like Kennedy had kind of said too. Like, I think some people wanted to leave or were leaving, so I do not support that. Did not like that. But yeah, you could feel like when the first one went in, everybody I think was honestly more like, "Thank God, okay, we got a goal. Like, we're on the board, okay." Anything can kind of happen. When the second one was scored, that's when it all started to change. And I think everybody started to believe and was like, holy cow, can we actually do this?
We have the opportunity to do it. But yeah, if you want to go down to Greta for game 6 on Saturday, why is it so far away? That's such a massive gap between games.
It's right because I think the Lakers and the Clippers are playing playoff basketball, right?
Screw them. So there's other games between those ones, obviously, right? The other schedule. I don't know why I'm asking. I haven't even looked, but either way.
Yeah,
Greta, Saturday night, like I said, you can book your reservations at gretabar.com/book or text 587-418-8507. There you have it, folks.
There you have it.
And now, other one, Boston Pizza Fanalytics menu. It's funny when I read the when I read this cheat sheet that we have with all the sponsors, it says say organically, and I simply just never do because it's just not natural to me at all. I usually sit over there. But anyway, Boston Pizza Fanalytics, powered by the new menu that they have for the playoffs. Look at that. A nice crispy beer. I'll probably go down on Wednesday, I think. Grab some stuff. Do you have any ones of the food, Aaron? I like looking at the food when they kind of come around.
Let's check out a pizza flight while we're here.
Oh, yeah. Look at that bad boy. So with this one, you can pick any 3 pizzas.
Yeah, I do
so you
believe
can get
so.
Great White North, spicy pierogi. I think that's still one that they have.
Yep.
I honestly just get pepperoni. So
I was going to say, you just named 2 elite pizzas off the top of your head right
there. And let's go with the Meteor. That's going to be my tray on Wednesday. So there you go. It's like in the chat. I have very much neglected this chat today. I am sorry. I'm trying to figure this out as I go. Do you eat organic bananas or regular bananas? I eat regular bananas. Last night I had 5. I know a few people have asked that in the chat. Thank you very much to everyone who said happy birthday and all just sent a ton of bananas. I'm assuming that is the birthday celebration you guys are having for me. What else do we got here? Oh yeah, the Fanalytics that I just completely avoided. Philip Broberg is where I kind of wanted to look at this one. Oh, yeah. Kennedy got me some
Kennedy got
bananas.
Liam a nice little birthday present here.
Some bananas, too. So I'll wrap up the show with my Fanalytics, which was Philip Broberg. Like I said, when Shawn was here, played just under 10 minutes at 5-on-5 and outshot his opponents 6-2 and was a perfect 5-0 with Brett Kulak. For me, I think Philip Broberg has earned the opportunity to play way more in this series now. And I'm not saying Vincent Desharnais can't be in the lineup because, quite frankly, he's needed in the lineup. He's a vital part of the penalty kill. I know the penalty kill. He was on the penalty kill when they scored last night against Kopitar. But at the end of the day, like, he's a massive body who needs to be out there. But Philip Broberg, he was very good at making plays yesterday and advancing the puck. Probably one of the first times I've seen him really do that in quite some time. So I'm going with Philip Broberg as my Fanalytics stats, I guess. I don't know. Tyler does this usually. So that's what I'll go with. And then let's take a look at the AMA out of town scoreboard, Aaron.
Yeah, let's kind of see what happened this weekend. But before we get to that, for the Fanalytics, I wanted to just give a special shout out to Brett Kulak.
Yes.
Last night,
the 9-to-5 man.
He was the best Oiler on the ice. Like, I swear, he was electric. He was skating up and down. Every time I saw the 7 on his jersey, I was like, is that Connor? Oh, no. That's Brett Kulak, baby.
Let's see what he did last night. Where is Brett Kulak? 5-on-5. He played 18 minutes and 22 seconds and outshot his opponents 15-9. Let's not forget about Brett Kulak, too. He's playing alongside Vincent Desharnais when he's out there. He's also the guy who turned Tyson Barrie into a very good defensive kind of player now after his whole career was just like not very good. So as a defenseman, obviously a good career. But anyway, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard from last night's NHL, and we'll kind of take a look at the Betway stuff and within that too. But for, like, what do we have here? Carolina took down the New York Islanders 5-2, 3-1 lead in that series. Boston, that series is probably done now too. I mean, I know Florida, a lot of people had Florida as a potential underdog to come through on that one, but losing 6-2 at home, never ideal. Dallas tied up the series against Minnesota, beating them 3-2. And then obviously the Edmonton Oilers beat the LA Queens 5-4 in overtime. Thank you, Zach Hyman, for that one. Tonight, New Jersey Devils versus the New York Rangers. I think I'm going to go with the Rangers to take that one, Aaron. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I would go with the Rangers here. I know the Devils, they got their win, so they got new life in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. They just seem like a team that needs to get the experience. They're just kind of happy to be here. And the Rangers, man, their lineup is low.
Stacked. The good comment here from Redman Martinion, I think. Unpopular opinion, banana bit is getting old. Sir, it is not a bit. This is my life. Thank you very much. What else we got? Toronto, Tampa Bay. What a game that was in game 3. Toronto tying it up. Who was it? Morgan Riley getting a 5-minute major and then getting taken away, which I think was actually probably the right call. Oh, actually, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of Jack Hughes' comments yesterday to the media? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
Where he was like, we just got routed 2 games or something like that, and now I have to stand here and talk to you guys. Yeah. I think that was a bit harsh, Jack, but it's kind of funny to see at least.
I like Jack Hughes. I like the way he talks to the media. He's a goofy guy. And I don't know, I just like seeing your superstars with personality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're always asking for this, and then a guy comes out and does it, and it's like, oh, well, how can we hate it if he does that? Vegas, Winnipeg, absolute thriller for the weekend, fighting back, and then obviously not getting it from losing. What was it? He went to double overtime, that one, right? Yeah. I think Winnipeg will actually tie the series up tonight. I think the series is going to 7.
I think that's going 7. I think we're going 7. I think Dallas is going 7.
So last season, only one series didn't go more than 6 games, 6 games or more. And it was when Colorado swept Nashville, I think it was. Every other series in the first round went to at least 6 games. And do you remember, I think we had 5 or 6 game 7s across 2 days. So just kind of nuts. And then Colorado, Seattle is the other game. That's been such a weird one because I thought Colorado was going to be able to run away with it a little bit. Nichushkin obviously won't be around for personal reasons, and then obviously, but it's still the Colorado Avalanche. But it is in Seattle, so we'll see. It'd be good to see that series kind of continue on as Seattle continue to essentially grow the fan base out there. So there you have it. Did I miss any ads, Aaron? I think I'm good.
No, I think.
Oh, AMA Travel. Thanks to AMA Travel for getting boys to LA. They're on the way home now. That's why I'm doing this one, and I'm always jealous. Did you see this time around their hotel had a par 3 in the back?
I know, man.
Unbelievable.
I was doing the show when they were on Saturday, and like before and after, they're showing me the whole view of everything. I think they went twice in one day to go hit the course. And then they got to see a hell of a win.
They did. Last year when they got to see a massive one as well when they were down there. So clearly they've got some good luck when they go down to LA. One last thing before we go. Thank you very much for everyone for tuning in. 298 people in the chat right now, which is great. So the last thing, we're doing a lunch giveaway. Do you have something?
Did you see the poll I made?
Oh, yeah, I did.
So the fan base has spoken.
Who do you think should start for game 5? 62% of 242 say Stuart Skinner. Clearly, some people have had some time to sleep on this and evaluate their decisions last night.
I feel like if we asked this last night, there would have been a lot more Jack Campbell. But I think the more you think about it, Skinner got us there. And
wait, did you see Tyler's in the chat? He said, Liam, too much wall showing. Tyler, the camera didn't work. When you leave, the camera does not work. I'm currently shooting the show off a laptop that is Kennedy's because Aaron and I's laptops are too old to fit the cords. But thank you for joining us. Anyway, the last thing, whilst Tyler's in here, I'm sure Jay's around too, watching. I think they're at the airport right now, whatever they're doing. Tyler and Jay and I are going for lunch. And one of you can join us. We'll do the draw tomorrow. We've done this one already when we went out with Tyler Mulick to Montana's. Yep. And it was fantastic to meet someone. Tyler Mulick's in the chat I see. So there you have it, folks. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to my lone episode of Oilers Nation Everyday on my birthday. Shout out to Tyler again for making me work a little bit harder today.
Happy birthday, Liam, everybody.
Thank you very much. And we will see you all on the flippity flop.